Fantasy Premier League is back, and in today's video I'll be going through my updated draft. It's been a while since I've done a draft video on this account, but today we will be going through one. But before we do that, we will be going through the clean sheet odds. I love looking at the clean sheet odds. It gives me a good idea of who I'm going to pick defensively. And if you are interested in seeing stuff like that, be sure to stick around and subscribe. Okay, so we'll get stuck straight into it here. Here are the clean sheet odds for the first 6 game weeks in Fantasy Premier League. Saw some Elevenify. They do some really good stuff. I'll leave their link in the description. There is no surprise as to who are at the top: Arsenal, Liverpool and Man City. And I say it's pretty important to have at least one defender from one of those teams I have just mentioned in your draft. Chelsea follow very closely. Their defenders are very popular in FPL. However, Colwill has picked up a pretty serious injury, so he is someone to avoid. And I say Sanchez is the best route to go in the Chelsea defence. Moving on, and this is very promising, Notts Forest and Everton are up there for the highest clean sheet odds across the first 6 game weeks. Of course, the defenders are very popular due to the new defensive contributions rule: Milenkovic, Murillo, Tarkowski. They all pick up a load of DEFCON points, but also they have decent odds of keeping a clean sheet in the first few game weeks, and that does promote the use of these defenders even further. Near the bottom we have Spurs. Although they have a 42% probability of keeping a clean sheet in game week 1, that is quite good, but following that is not ideal with 8% in the following game week, so I would be avoiding Spurs defenders. If you trust this data, Van der Ven, Udogie, they are quite popular in FPL. And the obvious ones are also down there: Burnley, Sunderland, Leeds and Wolves. Although I know many are looking to bench boost in game week 2, Burnley defenders are very cheap. Esteve at 4 million, Dubravka at 4 million, and in game week 2 Burnley have a 35% probability of keeping a clean sheet. And if you are looking to use that booster early, I know I am, double Burnley defence for the bench boost could be a very good idea. So those are the clean sheet odds for FPL in the first few game weeks, and if this is something you want to see more often, be sure to stick around and subscribe to this channel. And now we'll move on to my updated FPL draft. In goal I have Robert Sanchez. We saw those very good clean sheet odds for Chelsea in that data, the Elevenify data. His first few games are very promising too. He doesn't really have a tough fixture until game week 7, so there is a world where he's locked in my team until then. 5 million is a fair price tag for him. He's got a high ownership for a good reason, and for me there isn't a better goalkeeper in this game. My second keeper is Dubravka, and I think you know what I'm thinking when you're looking at my subs. Dubravka should be a starting keeper, only 4 million. That is ridiculous. Sunderland in game week 2 with those decently high clean sheet odds. And as you probably already know, I will be playing the bench boost in game week 2 at this moment in time. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. I want to use it as soon as possible so I don't have to worry about it in future game weeks. And it seems like the best time to use it is in game week 2. The Burnley Sunderland game gives the opportunity to lower price players to pick up some really big hauls. And that is why I've stocked up on Sunderland and Burnley assets on my bench, who we will get onto later. In defence, I've got Tarkowski, Williams, Van Dijk, Esteve and Richards. I am targeting those CBIT points. Tarkowski, Williams, Richards and Esteve all have the potential to pick up a load of defensive contributions and get me those bonus points. Tarkowski was the most involved defensive player in the Premier League last season. Last season in FPL, if defensive contribution points were a thing, Tarkowski would have more than likely picked up those points for your FPL teams, and that is really impressive. Everton are away to Leeds in game week 1. That will be a tough game. Going to Ellen Road, opening day of season, will be hard, but you still back Everton to do well in that game and potentially pick up a clean sheet. Nico Williams is someone who I've talked about previously in my Hidden Gems video, my differentials video, alongside Richards and Esteve. Williams is only 5 million, and we compare it to Milenkovic and Murillo at 5.5 million. Williams is really low owned compared to them, and his DEFCON per 90 isn't too bad either. So the idea of saving that 0.5 million to getting Williams instead of Milenkovic or Murillo is a really good one in my opinion. Nottingham Forest and Crystal Palace defenders do rotate very well in the first few game weeks. Of course, I've got Richards in my side as well, currently on my bench because he's away to Chelsea in game week 1. That will be tough for Crystal Palace. But as we get further into the FPL season, Richards will rotate with Williams. In game week 4, 5 and 6, if rotated correctly, have a defender playing against Burnley, Sunderland and Leeds. So all of the recently promoted sides. And you can't get better than that really. Richards was just as good as Guehi for the DEFCON rule last season. Richards' ownership is a lot less than Guehi, so it makes sense for me to go for Richards instead of Guehi. My fourth defender also on the bench is Stev. 4 million for a starting defender. He was one of the best players in the EFL last season. Burnley were the best defence in the EFL last season. Of course, they lost Trafford and Egan Riley in the transfer window, but with Dubravka in goal now and Stev signing a new contract, I can see Burnley being okay defensively this season. We don't really have accurate data for Stev's DEFCON per 90 because Burnley were the best team in the league last season, but they won't be in the Premier League season. They will be very defensive, and that means we'll probably see Stev be more involved defensively for Burnley. And because I am looking to bench boost in game week 2, Dubravka and Stev, it can't get better than that. And my final defender at 6 million is Virgil van Dijk. Bournemouth in game week 1 for me makes me feel that I'm going to get off to a good start with Van Dijk. I feel like he will get clean sheet in that game. And we saw in the first 6 game weeks, Liverpool are among the best for their clean sheet probability. Van Dijk isn't someone who's going to get you a load of DEFCON points, that won't happen. But what he does give you is a really good chance of keeping a clean sheet. And at 6 million, he is my only premium defender. Let me know what you think of this defence in the comment section. I really do like it. I like the new defensive contributions rule, as you can see. And now we'll move on to the midfield. At this moment in time, all 5 of my midfielders will be starting in game week 1. We'll start off with Bruno Fernandes. Bruno is on pens for Man United. That is always an added bonus, but Man United will be looking to improve in the 25-26 season after a pretty poor 24-25 season. And with the new additions that they have made, Cunha and Buemo, I expect Man United to be a better team in general and definitely attacking wise. And for me, that only means Bruno Fernandes will be getting more points because he'll have someone to finish off the chances he has given them. He also offers something new defensively with the new DEFCON rule. In his most recent pre-season game, Fernandes did get a C, but he needed to pick up those 2 bonus points against Fiorentina. And that is really encouraging stuff because as well as his attacking contributions, he can also pick up those 2 defensive bonus points. We've got 3 premium midfielders here and Palmer is my second. He was pretty poor during the back end of last season, but in the Club World Cup he was very good during the latter stages. Of course, in that final against Paris Saint-Germain, he was very good with his 2 goals. For me, it's either Saka or Palmer for that second premium midfielder spot. But with Gyökeres coming into Arsenal, Saka may not be on all the pens, so that leans me to Palmer slightly. And we know how good Palmer is when he is at his best, and hopefully we can see that in the new Premier League season. Salah is an obvious one. There's not much to say about him that already hasn't been said. Pretty much everyone's captain for game week 1, and the game weeks following that, he'll probably be everyone's captain. Once again, Liverpool do have some pretty decent fixtures in the first few game weeks, and you can't really go against Salah. I haven't seen many drafts with Salah not in it, but if you are going against him, fair play to you. Anderson is someone who's been in every single one of my drafts since day 1. Anderson is a 5.5 million midfielder with pretty low ownership for Nottingham Forest. He's more of a box-to-box midfielder. He can get a few goal contributions, but what we are really looking at here is his defensive contributions rate. He picked at 13 CBIT per game last season, and that means he's more than likely to pick up those bonus points for you in FPL. And with the departure of Alanga from Nottingham Forest, I expect Anderson to be on more corners, maybe even a penalty here and there for Nottingham Forest, who took one and scored one in the under-21 Euros for England. And at 5.5 million for a midfielder, I don't think you can get better than Elliot Anderson. I have said this before, but I feel like he may be one of the biggest price rises in FPL this season. And my final midfielder, Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, he's recently moved to Everton. He will be on set pieces for Everton. I think he took a few corners in pre-season, in their most recent pre-season game. And as an enabler, it is a really good option. I feel like Dewsbury-Hall may have a breakout season in the Premier League. He's done it in the Championship before, but can he do it in the Premier League? We can only wait and see, but at 5 million, I think is a really good player to pick. My 2 starting forwards are Ollie Watkins and Bowen. Aston Villa's first few games are pretty decent. If you look past that Newcastle game, for Ollie Watkins. Watkins picked up 24 goal involvements in the Premier League last season, and I feel like he has the potential to do better than that. 9 million price tag. And as far as cheaper strikers go, I feel like Watkins is the best. You can go for Isaac, you can go for Haaland. But Watkins is fairly cheap in terms of strikers. And the money I would be using for Haaland or Isaac, I can use elsewhere when picking Watkins. Bowen is incredibly consistent for West Ham. In the past 4 seasons, he's picked up over 100 goal involvements. That is a very promising statistic. And Sunderland away in Game Week 1, it couldn't really get any better for West Ham. He is another player that has been in all my drafts, and for good reason. I feel like when backing Bowen, he always has a good chance of getting that goal or getting an assist. And when backing him, I just don't think he can go very far wrong. And my final player, the ultimate enabler, 4.5 million, is Gooey of Sunderland, however you pronounce his name. He recently joined from Chelsea, and if he does get regular minutes, he could be a very good pick in FPL, especially if you are considering that bench boost in Game Week 2. A starting forward at 4.5 million is fairly unheard of in Fantasy Premier League. If he does get a few minutes for Sunderland, he can get a few goals in the Premier League, and at that 4.5 million price tag, he could turn out to be real value for many. And that does conclude this video. That is my FPL draft at this moment in time. Let me know what you think of it. If you have enjoyed today's video, please be sure to like and subscribe. The support does not go unnoticed. My mini league code will be linked in the description, so if you are interested in being in that, be sure to have a look alongside my Twitter. That'll also be linked in the description. Thank you for watching this far, and good luck in creating your Game Week 1 drafts.